I'm Matt Reynolds, and this is my podcast.
I can do the job, but running the business is quite difficult. What a lot of tradesmen lack, and I was probably one of them, is business skills.
I don't mind making mistakes. You learn from your mistakes.
Information is all around you in the minds of people that work beside you.
Welcome back to the Trench Talk podcast. I'm Matt Reynolds, and this episode is going to be a little different to the usual interview style we run with here at Trench Talk. This is going to be the first solo one that I do. My original idea for doing this was to record a recent talk that I gave to the Master Plumbers Association about the coming changes in technology and the effects on both the plumbing and trade industries, but unfortunately the talk and recording didn't turn out to quite the standard that I would have hoped. So I decided to re-record it for the podcast and then add in a section at the end on a few of the things that I'm doing in this space, and also how some of the concepts that we'll discuss through the talk may actually play out in a practical day-to-day sense of running your business and being a tradesman. So I firstly started the talk by thanking the Master Plumbers for having me in and thinking enough of the work that I'm doing and the views that I hold to share those with their network and their members, who consist of many plumbers and also many business owners. I think that we can all agree from the outset that the internet is not a fad and that technology will continue to change the way that we do business and will continue to change the way that we live in many aspects. So the debate is no longer an is technology coming, yes, no debate. It's understanding that technology is coming and then foreseeing the possible or likely changes so we can put ourselves in the best position, particularly if we are business owners, to take advantage of the coming changes rather than, as we've seen in a few industries like the music and taxi industries as examples, be gobbled up by them. Before I jump into the main part of the discussion, for some context, I've been a maintenance plumber for 20 or so years, running XRM plumbing services, servicing some of the most exclusive real estate in Victoria. So I don't come in that position at this technology subject as an outsider, I guess, trying to impose the way things should be done on the industry. I come at it from a very practical sense as a plumber, facing many of the same challenges that any plumbing or trades business owner does every day when they're trying to grow, run, and expand a successful business. In assessing the current landscape, and for simplicity, we can divide our industry into two categories. The first category being on-tool activities, all the gluing pipes, digging holes, the manual components of the work that we do, and the second category being the off-tool activities, all the business processes, the organisation, and everything else that needs to be done to allow the on-tool activities to actually take place. Regarding the on-tool activities, I think we're pretty safe for a little while yet. I don't believe that robots are coming to take our jobs anytime soon. That will come much further in the evolution of technology in our space. And the analogy that I like to use to help others understand this is if you think of the driverless car industry. Driverless cars were not able to be developed and built until they had a reliable GPS and mapping system upon which they could work out, or work off, I should say, to do their job in the most efficient and effective way. In the trade space, we haven't, from a digital perspective, mapped out the best, I believe, customer experience and the best way of doing many business processes yet. So before any robots can come and really at scale take away the jobs that we need to do manually, first of all, the software has to be developed which allows robots to work off. Now, certainly we've seen and we won't spend too much more time on this, but we've seen some self-driving excavators and we've seen some drone activity in the construction space in the last few years. But we're talking about really taking away those manual jobs at scale, and that's just not going to happen anytime really soon, in my opinion. All the energy, all the effort, all the money at the moment is going into mapping out our GPS system, the best way of doing things in our industry and the best way of delivering the best possible customer experience. At this point of the talk, I then asked a couple of questions of those in the room. First of all, I asked all the business owners to please raise their hand, of which about half of the room did. I then asked them to keep their hands raised, but then lower them if they couldn't, within one or two clicks or presses on their phone, locate all of their employees and all of their jobs on a map. Now, of course, many hands, all except 3 of them, if I recall correctly, went down. I then asked the remaining 3 if they actually gave that information to their customers. Now, if we think about this from a consumer point of view, I want to see where my Uber driver is. I want to see where the location of the hotel is that I might be looking to book for a coming holiday. I want to be able to track my parcels and packages as they move through the post. So as a consumer, I have an expectation now that I can see what the business is doing in real time. Now, as plumbers, we haven't quite embraced that yet. The technology is certainly there, but we just haven't gone down the path of actually using it to its full potential. Now, there's a couple of reasons for that. The first and main one being that this GPS technology wasn't actually around more than about 2 to 3 years ago. So it's relatively new, but in the time that it has been around, we have seen very, very quickly the rise of companies like Uber and Airbnb, who work directly off these systems, build very, very quickly. So if you're listening to this and thinking to yourself that you already have a system to run your business, and you may well, if it is or has been designed more than that 2 to 3 years ago, and we're in mid-2018 now, it will not be designed, unless it's been changed, which is rare because that's hard. It will not be designed with any of this technology, this GPS, technology in it. So you need to be aware of when the programs you're using have been developed and where they sit in the overall evolution of general technology. Now, the second reason that I don't think we're being quick to adapt to this mapping and visibility or transparency way of doing things is that I think we're a little bit, obviously we're slow because that's we haven't done it, so we are slow, but we can be a little bit resistant to change and new ways of doing things. But for those of you who can actually see how this is playing out and can draw some comparisons with other industries, you're going to realize that there's going to be huge opportunity to adapt some of this stuff and actually capture a lot of customers who are out there searching for this information, expecting this information, wanting to do business this way, but who are dealing with people who, or dealing with service providers who are not giving them that access. That's a big opportunity to pick up a lot of market share if you're simply willing to look at some of this stuff and really act on it and implement it within your business. From a mindset perspective, it's going to be extremely important for the foreseeable future to ensure that you remain inquisitive and also be constantly trying new things. I recall my dad called me about 2 to 3 months ago, and this is actually a really good example. And he says to me, Matt, tell me, in Australia, how long does it take to get an Uber? Now, for context, my dad has just returned from a business trip to China, and it's the first time I think that we'd spoken. Now, he's previously been of the view that Uber maybe is a little unfair and that the taxi industry is forced to play by a slightly different set of rules. And, that viewpoint, and I guess, it's a fair argument, but the interesting thing is that in Australia, as far as I know, he'd never used Uber before. So I tell him probably like 5 or 10 minutes, and I opened and checked the app at that time, and there was 4 cars within a block or two. So the usual 5 to 10 minute wait, it was certainly correct at that point. Now, I could tell my dad was pretty excited, and he goes on to explain to me that how on their recent trip they used DD almost to get almost everywhere, which is China's version of Uber. Now, he tells me how quick it is, how the car comes to exactly where you're standing, how it takes you to exactly where you've told the app that you want to go, that when you'll finish your trip, you can jump out. You don't have to fuss around with credit cards and cash and all that sort of stuff. The payment happens automatically. He actually also told me about an app in China that they use for almost everything called WeChat that actually facilitates payments and a lot of communication, how it's fast, how it's convenient, and how well the whole system works. Now, in Australia, remember, he hadn't used Uber and he was really against it, I guess you'd say, in principle, until he experienced it and then his view changed. Now, I'm not sure in one trip whether he's gone from not wanting to use it to an advocate for this way of doing it, but he was certainly a lot more aware and surprised by the benefits. And if you look at how consumers operate, particularly in regards to this heavily focused consumer model, they resist, then they try it once, they understand it, and then they never go back. So it's really important to consider how that typical consumer behaviour plays out in relation to where we're heading as a trade industry. And I think as an industry, to draw a further analogy, we're all about to board a plane to China. It's just that we don't know the full effects once we get there just yet. And as tradesmen looking at other industries like the music, media, travel, hotel, food, taxi, etc., if consumer-driven technology has re-engineered the entire way that those businesses and those industries now operate, for tradespeople, for plumbers, it's my belief that it really is only a matter of time. So from these business analogies and story, we need to really give some consideration about how much in the future customers are going to pay for time and convenience, because the busier that we all become, the more and more likely it is that we are going to pay more and more to save time and for convenience. If you can also resolve chaos and rescue people out of situations they're either afraid of or threatened by, as plumbers, we do that every day in a maintenance scenario, the opportunity to prosper financially and grow a business really becomes huge. And a good question to ask of every business practice that you put into place going forward is, how is this going to save my customers time? How is this going to make me their most convenient option? To drill down a little bit further on the actual technology going forward, let's stick with the example of a maintenance plumbing company. Basically, the functions of a business are: you need to market or get work somehow, schedule a job, manage your field workers, get a job report back from the field, invoice a job, produce your social media or marketing content, and store all of your job history. Now, you can certainly do all of those things at the moment, but you need to use different systems as the current landscape lies and different programs. But It all takes a lot of time, more time than it should, and it's super inconvenient. For example, just getting something like a job report back from a field worker is hard because writing extensive reports when your hands are dirty and wet and covered in whatever else is just not going to result in the best possible standard. So you're going to see new and better ways of recording information in the field, which will be quicker, faster, and a lot more accurate. Photos, for example, will be used to record job details and will be delivered already in report format straight back to your bosses, co-workers, and clients in a higher quality format and in a way that makes a lot more sense than the written word. Maintenance start times and finish times will be generated automatically as apps get better reading location information stored within the photos as they are taken and from your phone's location services. They will then report that information directly back to your clients in real time. Now, I know you might be thinking, no way do I want my clients having that level of detail and that much information about my business. No way am I going to give it to them. Well, I'm telling you that you will, because once they get a taste of it, and they already are, you're not going to get another job until you give it to them. And that is not just household consumers. Facilities and property managers already want it. I happen to know this space and have gotten to know this space really, really well recently. They want to use their own system to talk directly to yours so they can see for themselves how efficient you are, how quickly you are to respond to requests, and generally how reliable you are. No more emailing back and forth, no more phone calls to 3 or 4 different people chasing you. They want access to everything as it happens, and they're going to get it. It's all about transparency, and it's all about speed, and it's all about convenience. The first wave of mapping out this new technology will bring all of your business functions into the one place under the one application. That's required for transparency, first of all, and to allow customers access to all that information in the one place. So forget GPS systems in cars, outsourcing your marketing, running a separate calendar, controlling 10 different email accounts, another thing for invoicing, trying to remember to post to your Facebook, spreadsheets, reports, etc. All of that is going to happen in the one place. It's going to be easier and quicker, and it's going to cost 10 and 20, maybe even more times less to produce a better quality customer experience. And it's going to run all from your phone. The entire process is going to be mobile. Now, this may sound a little radical the first time that you hear it, but plenty of industries have already experienced this. Just think about my podcast, for example. You used to have to be a multi-million-dollar radio station with a network to reach people. Now, on my own, I can upload to iTunes and Spotify, etc., in exactly the same way as big companies do it for the exact same amount of money, which is virtually nothing. And I've got the potential to reach a lot more people. So it's a bigger opportunity and much more cost effective. The great news is the same thing will apply in the plumbing industry. The barriers for cost and growth, in my opinion, are going to come down, and they're going to come down quickly. So gone are the days where you need to spend $20,000 plus on a server or computer system just to test a solution that might not even work. You are going to have the hardware. It's just about finding the right software to run your business. Now, for operators in the 1 to, I would say, 15 to 20 sized business, 1 to 20 in terms of employees, are about to go through an unbelievable transformation in efficiency. Not only is the technology getting better, they're the ones that are going to be able to put it in place much faster than the bigger companies. And I think we're going to see, well, we've seen it in many other industries. We've mentioned them: music, taxi, hotel, etc. If you look at any of those, some of the biggest companies went out of business because they couldn't adapt. They couldn't do it fast enough. So if you're a small business owner and you're looking to grow, get excited, because I think this is going to be, in this trade space, a real golden era for the small to medium-sized business. So the plumbing and trade companies that are going to win in this space going forward will be the ones that realise they need to open up their businesses. They need to be transparent in the way that they do things, and they need to start to mould themselves around what the customer really wants. We need to start thinking in reverse in a lot of ways of our training. The way to reduce the amount of communication you need to facilitate with your customers, for example, is to automate your communication at every touch point and then make that communication available to your customer in the way that they want it. You actually solve most issues by doing more of what you think you don't have time for right now. You just need to do it in new and different ways. Generally, across all industries, attitudes are shifting to I want it now and I want to be in control. Now, of course, none of the Trench Talk listeners would fit into this category, but we know people that have gone from spending 3 hours with their family on a Sunday afternoon eating a roast dinner to now ordering their food through their phone, watching it drive to them, and then yelling at their apps because the person delivering their food just took a wrong turn on their bike and is going to be 2 minutes late. Now, again, no Trench Talk listeners would be in that category, but general society wants it now and they want to be more in control. So, as a trade company, as a plumbing company, what can you do to become more convenient to your customers? How can you require the least demand on your customers' time? How can you grow quicker? 3 main things. Firstly, get mobile. You need to run your entire business from your phone, or you're going to lose to people and businesses that do that. You need to look at technology solutions that centralize business processes. Primarily, you want to run in your entire operation through the one app. You need to be more transparent and give your customers back control. They want visibility into your business, so give it to them, but you need to give it to them in a way that benefits you, and you need to communicate more. And there you have it. I trust you found this of some value, thought-provoking if nothing else, and I really wish you all the luck in growing your business and in really adapting some of these new ideas, new solutions as they become available and they get better and better and better. So I said I'd talk a little bit more on the things that I've been doing within this industry. The company that I've been working with is called I for Tradies, I number 4 Tradies, and you'll find them at ifortradies.com.au. And not to go into the lengthy specifics of the different approach here, but I think that the easiest way to think about it is a 4-pronged approach to solving one problem. They have 4 different apps available. A consumer app where you can give to your clients to book jobs, where they can monitor your progress through, where they can find other tradesmen in. They can do everything they need to do to service their home inside the one app. Now, there is a business owners app, which is a set of tools to run your business. So scheduling, job tracking, uploading your photos, and all of those other things that you need to do on a day-to-day basis. That is inside the business owners app. There is also an employee app. So all of these apps have been specifically designed for the stakeholder, is the word that we use. Now, the employee app is the place where your employees can receive jobs, record job information, all of the automated information from location for job start times and finishing times that we spoke about comes out of this app. It's a quick thing to download. You can get employees up and running very quickly. In fact, we've seen businesses adapt this system in less than half a day. So it's been designed by some of the best app people according to their past results in the world, and to really create a situation where the app is good enough to drag the non-technically savvy people through the process. So again, not to get too lengthy on it, but we have a consumer app, we have a business owner's app, we have an employee app, and we also have a facility manager's app, which is a place where bigger operators, like the manager of a building or a facility, can log work to you. It comes through automatically, so there's no more emails and work orders and that sort of thing. And they get a transparent look at your business and can stay up to date in real time. Now, if you think about these 4 apps, this is the bit that really makes it special. All of these apps talk to each other. So if an employee uploads a photo, the business owner, the customer, and the facilities manager, and not all stakeholders have to be involved in every transaction, but in this scenario, let's assume that they are, all of those people instantly get to see that photo. All of the stakeholders get to see where employees are, in which part of the process a trade's job is at, and it all happens in real time. So that's probably enough from me on iForTrades. If you'd like to find out more about the program and what we've been discussing and our approach to this technology revolution that's coming, you can head to ifortrades.com.au. That's i4tradies.com.au. You can register your business under the business section, and if you use the code Trench Talk, all one word and lowercase, you'll get an entire month to try the program for free. So there you have it. That is my first solo episode done. If you like it, please let me know. And if you don't, let me know anyway, and we may make this the very last one. ifortrades.com.au. The code again is Trench Talk. Thank you for listening.
Hey everybody, it's Matt again. Thanks for listening. Just a couple of things before you guys clock off. You can get all Trench Talk episodes at xrm.com.au/podcast. You can also sign up for other goodies at the same site. Just plug your email in there and you are covered. That's X for X-ray, R for Romeo, M for Mike.com.au/podcast. If you really like what I'm bringing you, please head to iTunes, subscribe to this show and leave a review right there. And lastly, if you want to contact me directly, type the @ symbol followed by Mr. Matt Reynolds into your search bar and you'll find all the social links. Goodbye.